I'm having a lot of camera issues, so we're going to start the show. Welcome, PRTV Spurs. I'm Sam Spurs for life. Apologies for the delays, apologies for the change in the times, etc., etc. But we're going to try and get into this stuff here, talking about Tottenham. Does my head in. But anyway, let's get the show on the road. Hello and welcome to PRTV Spurs. I'm Sam Spurs for life. As you can see, my yellow jumper with my YouTube. What's the word I'm looking for? With my YouTube, whatever. Anyway, joining us today, we've got Josh from Spurs Debate TV, and also in the house we have Pipes, who sometimes suffers the same state as me in terms of his internet access, but his is better than mine, because he's at least got a camera today. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you doing in the life of a Spurs fan? Because I tell you what, I've had enough. I've had enough. We've got things to talk about. The show should have been at the weekend. Obviously, we had the Bayern debacle, if you want to call it that. But pre-season is pre-season. It looked like pre-season to me. Looked like we should have been playing pre-season because that was awful. And yeah, we've still got a Super Cup to look forward to, if that's the right phrase. It could be humiliating. It could be one of the best days that we've had since, I guess, the Europa, if you want to look at it like that. But yeah, my cynical view, I'm going to try and stop. Welcome, gentlemen. How are we doing? Let's talk. First things first, let's just recap on where we're at from that Bayern Munich game. We were battered, essentially, by their fringe players of sorts, although they had a few good starters. But this is what I wanted to talk about. Brennan, Bayern, battered. Probably more that Tell, Savinho, Grealish, or whatever you want to talk about. Let's go. Josh, how are you feeling? How did you see that Bayern game? Did you think that everything's rosy in the garden of Spurs, or is there a lot of work to do? I know the answer to that, but you just give me your overall view of where you think we are, and then we can get into the transfer debacle that is currently.
So I think following the Arsenal result, a lot of fans were confident going into Newcastle because we did turn up against Arsenal, and we looked stable at the back and we looked threatening going forward. Newcastle, I thought, was more of a 50-50 game. They caused us a lot of problems. You could say we rode our luck, and then we sat on a 1-0 lead. We haven't had a lot of goals, have we? We haven't had a lot of goals. Sonny's gone, Solanke's injured. Richarlison's 50-50, we're lacking goals and creativity, and that's the big concern. And then Bayern Munich showed us exactly what we're lacking, which is attacking threat. And at the back, we just sat in and we took a beating, and that could have been 5 or 6. I mean, yeah, there was mistakes for those goals. I mean, Jed Spence let himself down there easily. I mean, he should have just held his ground and that wouldn't have been a mistake. Then you had another mistake as well. Obviously, you had the penalty. So it was mistakes. I thought there was no real pattern of play going forward. We just looked at we didn't look at the races, but there is a big quality difference in Bayern Munich and Tottenham. Let's get that straight out there straight away, because we are talking a Rolls Royce versus maybe a BMW. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference in personnel, and obviously playing away, all the traveling we've done. Believe he wants to do concert after concert, so he's not having us playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He's having us go to everyone else's house, and we're yet to play at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Do you know what I mean? We played obviously at the training ground. So all this traveling, coming to the UK for one day, then flying back out to Germany, different time zones, Asia, UK, Europe. And it's just, I don't think it's been the best preseason planning. And then on top of that, you've got Thomas Frank trying to help the recruitment department out, saying that we're not aligned. So it's been a bit of a mess. It's been a bit of a mess the last 7 days, and it's worrying. But they still have time to rectify, and let's hopefully they do. And a great place to start that would be the final on Wednesday, because if we could win that, then everyone's chirpy again. But the mood has just been up and down, Sam. I was down all weekend, no signings, and then obviously last night 11 o'clock saw the Savinho links, and I thought, okay, this might turn my mood around for Monday and Tuesday going into Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch the game in intensity. I saw a few highlights. I saw the goals. I saw Kane miss a penalty on purpose, basically, because he didn't want to embarrass us too much. I saw no creativity in our ranks. I saw just a manager that looks like, what the hell have I done? It just seemed like it, and some of the stuff that's being said. Again, I'm loath to just go straight on and straight into Thomas Frank. That would be unfair, basically, because he's been in a job less than 2 months, hasn't got any players. But what I will say is, and I think we've alluded to this before, you've got to be a little bit more, what's the word? Stronger in your opinions about things that we actually need players. Say that, state it. I'm not going to powder puff it. I'm going to say, like, we are in need of a creative spark. He's kind of, oh, well, we're not too near, we're not too far, whatever that means, I don't know. We need players. And if that hasn't given us the impetus to go out and spend this money on a creative player, at least that creative player, then I don't know what we'll do, because we are like to be fighting a losing if we're not in all fronts, try and compete on all fronts. Pipe, your thoughts?
Can you hear me? Because I'm hearing a bit of distortion on my end. Can you hear me clearly?
Can hear you. Got a little bit
Yeah.
of
Bit of crackle. Yeah.
Yeah. I can only really echo you, Sam. I didn't really see much of the Bayern game. I saw about 10 minutes of it. But it seemed, judging, but well, listening to reports, it was a back to the wall job. Golfing class. You know, we've got zero creativity going forward. I mean, all right, it could be expected against Bayern Munich, but there were times in the previous 2 games, to be honest with you, where we was back to the wall as well, against the Arsenal and against Newcastle. You know, the early signs, you know, they don't look. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm in a quandary with our new manager. I mean, I'm of course want to give him a chance. He wasn't my first choice. At the same time, he's an improvement on Ange, but again, that's not proof of much either. So I'm a bit here or there with Frank. He's got it to prove to me, and so far, the organisation, particularly in the Arsenal game, it looks better. But at the same time, we've got nothing going forward. He's got injuries, but the signs are, you know, is it going to be we're going to be a side that just kind of sits in and waits to get beat? We're trying to keep the score down because of our lack of creativity going the other way. And as you were saying, Sam, you know, he's. I mean, the suspicion with him is that he was hired because he was happy to work with the shit we have. He was going to toe the party line. And so far, he's kind of lived up to that billing, really. I mean, you're coming out with comments, particularly regarding Ben Davis. You're taking the piss, mate. You know, you're taking the piss. You know, this guy should have been jettisoned years ago. To come out and be talking, oh, he's a very important player for us and blah, blah. You're just peddling nonsense. You know what I mean? And that is not helpful in terms of, because basically what he's doing at the moment, let's have it right, is giving the MCTs ammunition. And at the moment, it's kind of hard to argue against them. You know, like I said, he's an improvement on Ange, but that in itself ain't really a validation of much. So yeah, we got to wait and see with Frank, but he needs to start stepping up to the plate, as you say, Sam, and really, you know, go to Levy. Listen, I'm short here. You know, I'm really at least we need a playmaker, we need a striker, and we need a left winger who can go past players. And that's just 3 off the top of the head. You know what I mean? He's got to grow up here and go to Levy. So yeah, that's where I am at the moment with it.
We can look at it ourselves as being, if we were in that position, we've just got a job, we're in the first 2 months of a job. Let's not even say we're not even through our 3-month probationary period. You might not be talking too was about your employee, but this is a different business. This is the football business. And I think if you are going to be put into this position, and Thomas Frank wanted to take this, surely you know what you're getting yourself into with regards to Spurs. Surely all of that information about how we deal with things, and I'm just, God, he's gone. I'm just going to say he might come back on in a minute. Surely all the information is out there to kind of suggest that you do need to be, what's the word? A very strong-minded individual to take this role and to kind of push it to where it needs to get to. I agree with what Pikes was saying. A lot of the talk about Thomas Frank why he was probably top of the list is because he is malleable. Maybe he is the sort of manager that's not going to complain too much. He says personally that he gets angry and all the rest of it, but anybody that says, oh, I do get angry, you kind of have to take that with a bit of pinch of salt. Is he really that sort of person? I want to see his coaching. I want to see what he can do from a coaching perspective. And if we are going to say that, oh, well, Ange had injuries, then we are in a position now where we've lost players and got injuries and we haven't got any creativity. You're fighting a losing battle if you want to be competitive on all fronts. So I'm not sure at this moment in time, if you was to ask me, where do you think Spurs will finish? I don't know. We could finish anything from between realistically 5th to 15th in my head. What are we going to win? I'm not sure we can win the Champions League. I'm pretty certain we can't win the Champions League. I've already stated I don't think we're going to win the Premier League. That leaves a domestic trophy to win, which I believe would be harder to win than the Europa was last year, given the fact that we've now lost players in a legend in Son. Yes, he was on the downslide, but he was still up there with the GAs, as mentioned before. We've got Kudus, but that's about it. All these other players, not seen them. Takai, not seen him. Don't know what he's going. Vucevic played the first game, not seen him much. Again, talks about him going on loan. We've got left back, a doggy, known to be injury prone, injured already, not playing. Solanke, not playing. Richarlison can't play. He's not very good. I'm struggling here based on the fact of what Levy said in that interview with Vinay, how this can translate to us being competitive. Do you see? Okay, I'm going to rephrase it. What do you see us needing to do, Josh, to be competitive on all fronts for this coming season?
So obviously the manager plays a massive role in that, but the manager needs his tools. Like you've just said, the manager needs a squad to compete in the Champions League. We're not competing in the Europa League anymore. We're competing in the Champions League. So that's going to put a massive strain on this very delicate squad that seems to get injured at every opportunity available. And, you know, with Madders out, Kulu and Madders out, we have no 10. We have Lucas Bergwall, who's a kid, and we have Kudus, who might be able to do a job for us in the number 10 because he does do that for his national country. However, for Ghana, he does it for Ghana, right? So that's maybe a filler until Madders ain't back for the season. At least Kulu's going to be back around October. So we've got a jigsaw here with gaps in it, and Thomas Frank, if we get Savinho, has somewhat replaced the output on the left with Son, giving Tel and Son competition, with Odegaard in the back end. On the right side, we've got Kudos and Brennan Johnson having competition. And competition drives motivation in any workplace. If you don't have any competition, you're not going to get the best out yourself, and you're not going to get the best out your colleagues. Solanke up top doesn't have much competition. Richie, you could argue is somewhat competition, but everyone knows a fit Solanke starts over Richie. So we just need to develop that squad. The number 6 situation has been improved with Paulinho, so that gives Bentancur and Gray some competition. But the left back, like you just mentioned there, Sam, there's not much competition down there. Spence could probably do a job, you know, but he's more of a right back. But it's just filling out the gaps now, isn't it? And you know, if we do get Savinho over the line, that's given that left-sided wing I mentioned on the last show. I feel like we're like a plane that has a really a half decent right wing, but we have a weak left wing. And if we get Savinho in, and he's a left winger by his career, if you look at his full career, left wing is where he's produced the most output. And obviously Doku was ahead of him in that race, so, and rightly so, because Doku's a very good player. But I think if they can add the left wing, and they can get a Vlahovic in maybe to give Solanke some competition, real competition, not Richie competition, and then try and get a number 10 in. Look, we're going to have Maddison out for the season. We're going to have Kulusevski back probably in about 2 months, 2 to 3 months. He's on the mend. So you don't want too many chefs in the kitchen, but we don't have enough chefs in the kitchen at the moment in certain departments. So they've got to get that balance right. And it's a big 3-4 weeks, isn't it? Or however long's left of the transfer window. But then it's over to Thomas Frank. Then, like Pipe said, I'm looking at Thomas Frank. I'm looking at his in-game management. I'm looking at his tactics. I'm looking at his pressing. I'm looking at his set pieces. I'm looking at his youth development. I'm looking at all the things that he did at Brentford to then can he do it on the bigger stage? And then I'm looking at him in Europe where he has no experience. And his first European game against Bayern Munich was not great viewing, to go by if you're just going on Bayern Munich alone. So there's a lot of question marks at the moment. But I will say one thing is when you have a new manager, you've got to give him time. And I hate saying that because how many managers have we given time? And then the clubs either fail them or, they failed themselves. And, he had a hand in his own downfall. So we're going to have to be patient. But the club right now has 3 weeks. After the first game of the season, when the transfer window ends or after the transfer window, the club have nothing to do. They can all go Bahamas and go chill with Joe Lewis on his yacht. This is when the club needs to do what we need them to do. After 3-4 weeks, we will not. The only thing the club will be doing is watching the games. So they've got to play their part. They've got to do their role. And let's see what they do over the next few weeks. Because after that, it is all over to Thomas Frank. And then we come back to the club in January when the transfer window opens again.
Okay. Pops, I just had to put you on to mute just because there was a little bit of feedback. Well, I'll put you on in a minute. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Joe. I don't even think we've got a kitchen. So the fact that, we have
no
to
food.
see what there's no food, there's no kitchen, no utensils, there's none of that. We are dealing with a situation now where if we're going into this season, let's say we go into it now, we're in not competitive situation. We're just not going to be competitive. Now, what I will say about the Bayern thing is, with it being a friendly, and I hate to use the phrase "it's only a friendly" because it is. Ultimately, what you want to see is players playing themselves into form. Again, not seeing the whole game, I can't definitively say that. But what I see is similar type errors being made again. I'm seeing players who are not 100% confident about what they're doing. I'm seeing Sarr in a position where, yeah, he scored that wonder goal if you want against, was it Arsenal? But he's not a number 10. He can't do that role. We've got the likes of Kudus, who's being put onto this right, left. I don't know where he's going to end up playing, whether it would be right or left, probably be in the right, which then means Brennan Johnson is playing on the left side. He's not a left-sided player. Can we rely on someone like Show and Tell? No. Is Odebert ready for this consistent level? No. Is the defense consistently okay if you take out Romero and Van der Ven? Well, I'm not seeing this Takai. They're talking about Vuskovic going on loan. Ashley Phillips is nowhere near to be seen, or nowhere to be seen, should I say. Radu Dragonson's not quite ready. We're relying on Ben Davies, who's going to be a hybrid left back stroke centre back, and he should have left the club probably 5 years ago. I just don't know what's going on. And there's talk about Lange being someone who doesn't put out a lot of rumours. So if we're working on something, this is what I've kind of been alluded to, or been led to believe, is that the players that you're seeing in the media are not going to be the players that we're going to get. We didn't hear about the Kudus deal before. We didn't hear about Morgan Gibbs' potential deal beforehand. It wasn't like floating around. So all these Savinhos and Rodrigos and Ezes, I'm kind of like, I don't even think we're going to get these players. We're going to end up with something completely different. How do you see it, Pipes, in terms of the transfer aspect of it going into the season, as Josh has kind of touched on? Where is it that is there any positives currently?
To answer no, there is no positives that I can see. As I said in the previous stream, there's no real strategy with Tottenham in the transfer window. It's a kind of hit and hope, opportunistic. If there's a player who's or a club that's suffering with PSR or FFP and there may be an opening there, we can go in and take advantage of that. There's no real plan in place. In terms of the latest rumours now that are going, I mean, Savinho, that broke last night. Again, I'm not sure really where I'm at with it. On the one hand, you're looking at it, you're thinking, He's 21. He's, he's obviously, well behind the pecking order at City. So should we really be, spunking upwards of 50, 60, 70 million on a player who still has it to prove? The answer is no. It has to be no, surely. Because obviously you've got people like Eze who's out there. Why you spend the 60, 70 million on Eze, who's proven, ready to go? But at the same time, you see that the quandary we are actually in, as I've said to you in the group, Sam, is that we are at this needs must period now. Quite frankly, we're in shit's creek, and we need bodies in the building. As I've said many times, we got a load of left-sided players that don't add up to one. And Savinho, as raw and as unproven as he is, he's an upgrade on what we have on that left-hand side, which is really embarrassing, but it's the truth. Is he 70 million worth of that? Like I said, no. But if a deal can be struck at, I don't know, the 55 to 60 million mark. You see, the problem is, if we sign him along with a ready-made, like a Eze, or someone, then it becomes a different signing. But if we sign him in isolation, he's another maybe. And let's be honest, guys, we've got loads of these players at the club already. So it doesn't really move the needle much. But like I said, at the same time, you have to concede he's better than what we have on that side. So we just have to wait and see. But, like I said, we need a left winger. We need a playmaker. I mean, the number 10 is absolute priority, And I'm not even concerned whether Maddison or Kulu make it back. We need to find, the number 10 and the best in class if possible, And that's why I will forever harp back, but the Morgan's Gibb White was such a dropped ball. And like I said, Levy, I think we have to say that Levy was never serious about signing that player, but he should have been, because I'm telling you, we so need him now, And I said it before, I would go back to Forest now and I'll ask them to name their price for him, because our need is such. But that ship has obviously sailed now. So then you go for the next one. The next one surely has to be Eze, And then if you want to bring Savinho on top, cool. But Savinho in isolation, it's risky, and we're not in a position where we should be taking unnecessary risks. So
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know where we are at the moment. In terms of a striker, I still would like to see us get involved in the Vissa conversation, if possible. If not him, then you've got Vlahovic from Juventus, who I think could come in and rediscover his Fiorentina form, I believe. But these are things that need to be, time's running out. We've got Super Cup coming up in a couple of days' time, when, quite frankly,
this is what I'm saying.
We'll probably be clear at half time.
Let me just go off the back of something you said. We're trying to get players that we're trying to resurrect to try and create something because we think they've got potential. They haven't quite made it at their club before. Kudus, you can say the same thing. Last season, he wasn't performing at West Ham. We've decided to resurrect his career. Now, I'm not going to say he's a bad player. He's a great player. But we're still taking a bit of a risk on him because I don't know if he's going to down tools when he sees what's going on at Spurs. I don't know why he down tools at West Ham. So I've got no idea the reasons for him. Did he just want out of the club? Is he? I don't know. He's in London. It's not like we weren't much better than West Ham last season. In fact, didn't they finish higher than us? Of course. So I'm still trying to get my head around the reasons why some of these players actually want to come to Spurs, because it can't just be for money. It can't be because we don't pay them sort of wages. Is it because there's potential? Is it the London thing? Well, some players have been in London already, so it can't just be that either. I don't know. I'm still struggling to understand why it is that we're going into a Champions League season, one that we've been craving for, on the back of winning a European trophy that we hadn't had for donkeys, a trophy in general that we hadn't had for years, and feel like it's worse than last season. It feels like it's worse than last season. And I'm not having this. We're being linked to players like, what's his name now? The likes of Savinho, because he's not been lighting it up at Man City. Well, if he was, they wouldn't be letting him go. And then you're getting conflicting reports to say, oh, the player don't really want to go, or Pep don't want to let him go, and the fans don't want to let him go. So what the fuck is he going to be let go then for? That doesn't make sense to me. And I'm just questioning the nonsensical things that I'm seeing in the media. And I get it. It's clickbait. It's wanting people to do this. And what the Rodrigo thing. You really think we're going to see Rodrigo come through the door at Spurs? We're having a laugh here. We're having a laugh. So the things I'm looking at is realistic. It'd be realistic to go for someone like Jack Grealish on loan for the fact that he is looking to get his career back up and running. He is. Oh, I stopped in mid-track. The reason I stopped in mid-track is because we got someone who has to come on, who had to come on, even though he wasn't likely to come on, but is in the house. Bumpy, welcome. I know you want to talk about this. Go on.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me. No, but I had to come on because I've been watching this show. I've been managed just to get like a 5-10 minute break to come in this show to say my piece because I've been hearing you guys talk. I think the bit that I got to, and apologies if I'm repeating what everybody's already said, etc. But just to be clear, yeah, I don't this narrative going around that we're somehow getting like Man City's cast off. I just really wanted to be clear that if you look at the minutes played, Pep rotates his team. Savino wasn't a cast off. Yeah, he's got as much minutes as any other of their wingers. So I wouldn't definitely say he's a cast off. What I would say is unusually, and this is why I have to play a bit of balance to this thing because I know that none of us are happy with our club. I just wanted to bring a bit of balance. Yeah. One thing that I will say is that the accusation, rightly, against our chairman and against Enoch has been that all we do is do opportunistic take advantage, opportunistic signings. Yes, let me say that. Had too much bloody bubble gum in my mouth. Basically, this is the one occasion where Man City haven't actually come out and said, yes, we want to sell. Or the player, whilst he said that he potentially might want additional minutes and will be open to it, this is one of the few occasions where the player hasn't said, do you know what? I have to leave City. So this is the one example where I can say this is a bit different for the club. But what I will say that what I do agree with, he's 21, so he is relatively unproven. Yeah, so I agree with that, and his goal return isn't great. But that being said, when he was at Genoa before he went to City, where he spent most of his time on the left, he had really good stats. He had really good GA, better GA than a lot of other wingers. I'll stop there, Pipes.
I mean, the one thing I will say, sorry to back up what you're just saying, Dom P, is that it does smell a bit like, dare I say, Cole Palmer vibes. Whereas Cole Palmer, Pep didn't really want to sell Cole Palmer. But
yes,
himself pushed for the move because he wanted minutes.
Yes,
and that's the vibes I'm getting from Savino of what I've read. I have no inside knowledge.
Exactly.
I'm just getting that kind of feedback. So from that, I mean, we have to be honest as well. City's cast-offs are a little bit higher level than most teams' cast-offs as well. So we have to caveat that in. But at the same time, at this moment in time, in the position we're in, it's still risky. And we don't need to be taking, or we can't afford to be taking risks. You see, while Eze is out there in the Netherlands, I can't really look at any other player until that avenue is completely exhausted. And I appreciate that, yes, the noises coming out is that he wants Arsenal, but he will not wait for Arsenal forever. And players, they have ego, yeah? He's going to sit there thinking, who really does want me, yeah? And Arsenal, quite frankly, if they really wanted Eze, they would have wrapped this deal up ages ago. So while there is life and while there is a window, dare I say it, pun intended, we should still be trying to pursue that Eze deal. 100%.
I agree.
If we bring in Savino along with that, cool. You know what I mean? But Savino in isolation, there's risk there. There's risk.
I agree. I agree. This signing, if it's this signing in isolation, it's terrible. It doesn't really take us that much further forwards. But if it's on top of a number 10, like an Eze type player, then yeah, we have to move forward. I think that's a positive. What's your take on it, Josh and Sam? I haven't heard Josh's take on it.
Go for it, Sam. Go for it.
No, you go.
I'll just say on Savino, what some of the things you said there about his Girona career. He's a left-footed player. He does not have a right foot. That right foot is there to stand on and nothing else. He doesn't use it. He don't score with it. He don't assist with it. He does nothing with it. He goes down the byline and he pulls back and then he try and crosses it or cut in and take a shot like we've seen, the best of them do it. And he can't do it. He can't do it. He can't cut in and get those shots away. He tries, and if you look at his highlight reels, he does cut in and try, but he just gets bodied out each time. So that's an area of development. And that's an area at 21 years old, you'd say maybe Frank can develop. And he's done that with Mbeumo. So Mbeumo is the case, an example that Frank would have looked at. And Wissa. And, Frank apparently demanded this signing. These are rumors. I'm hearing the same rumors as everyone else. But I'm listening to good journalists telling me Frank went back to Lange and said, listen, he's already come out and said we're not aligned. So read into that what you will. This is Thomas Frank said we're not aligned as we'd like to be at Brentford. We used to go, that's what we want, and boom, that's who we'd get. So he's already let out noise on the fact that he's not happy with the setup. He's then trying to coach. He's then trying to win a final, and he's trying to, develop players, fill this puzzle that we can all see as holes, dealing with injuries. So if Frank wants him, I would say get him, because there's that old saying of obviously you back the manager, right? And if Frank thinks, and he's seen him live against Brentford, away to City, and he sees something in him, then I would get him, guys, because that's backing the manager. I wouldn't stand in his way if that's true. If Frank don't want him, then don't get him.
Yeah, just on that, just to agree with your point, what I actually heard was that Lange actually presented Thomas Frank with some potential signings, and that's when apparently Thomas Frank said no, like we're on different pages, like we need to. And a meeting that should have taken.
Because he mentioned presentations, didn't he?
Yeah, it ended up taking like an hour because he's saying like, no, we're a different, like we're looking at teams from completely different types of players.
That's worrying.
Yeah.
Then.
So
me,
just to finish on him though, what I would say is he got 8 assists, and we could do with some creativity. We've been talking about creativity, and we know Tell is a project. We know he's not Premier League proven. Neither is this guy. I'm not saying he's Premier League proven, but he's had the Pep tutelage. He's had limited. He's had game time, but he's had game time on a side where maybe that's not him. Maybe maybe you put his tricks and his skills on the left where he can then do his man and cross, which is what he was doing in his career before he joined Man City. Maybe he's not Mbeumo. Maybe he's not Salah or Saka. Maybe he's a Pedro Neto. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he's one of those players. Everyone can't be a Salah or Saka. Do you know what I mean? I know the way the game's going, inverted. But what happened to the old school, get down the byline and put it in and hope for Solanke to header it in? So, you know what I mean? Like, I think we could do with him, guys. And I would buy him. And I won't look at the 60 million price tag. I would go get him. If Frank wants him, go get him. We need creativity. But Jesus failed at Arsenal. Zinchenko failed at Arsenal. You have to be careful with these City rejects. Somewhat.
Okay, and I'm not going to use the word rejects for him, but what I would say,
not reject.
The guy's 21. Okay, if he was that high up in regards to City, this wouldn't be the conversation to be having. It definitely wouldn't, because City don't just allow players to be, to go like, unless, of course, they want to go. Now, if he was playing regularly, or even if he wasn't playing regularly, but he was getting regular game time, as City do, because that's how Jack Grealish has now become on the radar, because he wasn't getting enough, in his mind, enough time, but he fell off the pecking order. That could be for reasons that are unknown to us, whether that's his party inside of things, etc. I don't know, so I'm not going to speculate on that. But if a player is in the Man City squad and is getting rotated, they know that. That's part of Pep's thing. He does that. So if you're going into a World Cup year and you're not at that level where you're playing consistent football or you're playing brilliant football, you are going to have to be developing. We ain't got time to develop him if we're going to be competitive before Xmas. We could be out of all competitions by Christmas. If I know football and I do know coaching, if the player needs time, then we need time. So we should be looking at this season as a season of transition. But none of us are looking at this season of transition, because we've just come off the back of a Europa League victory, and we're in a Champions League, and we've got a new manager, and we want to see football progress to what we think with a more pragmatic view as opposed to just a gung-ho approach. So all these things, if you're going to throw them out there, is going to take time. But we're not looking at it. We're not looking at it from that perspective. Go on,
Sam. I'll come back to you on three of your points. When you said how if he's not getting like regular first team, or he's getting enough minutes at whatever City, then it's no good or whatever. I'll give you 3 players. Yeah, number 1 obviously is Palmer. Yeah, as Pipe said. Yeah. Number 2, I would say is Romeo Lavia, and I'd also say Sandro before he went to Dortmund as well. Like Pipe said, I just think that the City squad, they're kind of people that are on the cusp. Yeah, I've got a lot. They've got probably a lot more to offer than the traditional club. And on his goal scoring record, I'd also point people towards my man that left Leeds and went to Barcelona, Rafinha. Up until he was about 23, 24, didn't have no more than a 10-goal season. Then what? Last year, scored 31 goals. He's young. He's 21. So all of those type of things that could be taught. I remember Son as well. If you look at Son's biography, his dad didn't teach Son how to shoot till he was about 16 or 17 or 18 or whatever. Do you know what I mean? He developed that really late on in life. So I just don't think. I think someone is at 21, and then you think to yourself, okay, what's the alternative? What do we want as Spurs fans? You say that we had to buy Kudos because he didn't have a great season last year. If we don't operate like that, we're going to have to be signing players 100 mil or more, and that's just not in our DNA. So who is? So I think if I'm a chief scout at Tottenham, I think to myself, okay, what can I do? I know that I can't compete with Liverpool and Arsenal, Man City, or whatever for signing. So I get the next best, and I think Kudos is the next best. Yeah, where you can show that he's got a lot of potential. He's played in the Premiership. Same with Savino. He's shown that he's got potential. Hasn't completely done it, but he's played in the Premiership. I think that's what we need to do. We need to start getting those types of level players.
So are we now neglecting fees? Because as I said, you're right in what you're saying. Had we decided to pay 75 million for Kudos, we'd all be sitting and saying, oh, that's too much money. If we're going to be paying upwards of 50 million for a 21-year-old that's unproven long-term, and City want more than 50 million, is that a good deal based on where we are? It can't be. It cannot be a good deal if Eze, in the same market, who had a 68 million release clause, and Arsenal trying to get him for less than 60 million because they're putting in 52, 55 million pound bids, apparently, supposedly, by the media. You cannot tell me that a Savino compared to that
I would say, Sam. First thing that I will say is that, like what Pipes was saying, ordinarily, I would say 70 million or 75 million for Savino is not good. But considering the position that we are, beggars can't be choosers. I think we're in a drastic situation. We've had that one number 10 go out for the whole season. Yeah. So we are desperate. And we can't afford to say and be composed and say, let's just write it off for another year or whatever, because we've been kind of writing it off for another year for the last 24 years. Do you know what I mean? I think something needs to give. So that's why I think to myself, ultimately, you, Pipes, Josh, whatever, it's not our money. Yeah. Ultimately, if it costs 70, spend the bloody money. Yeah. If it means that we need to get Eze again, we need to get Eze. But you need to show improve. And ultimately we can't be just doing this, okay, well, at least we've balanced the books and we're not going. No, do it. Spend the money.
What makes even less sense is, why did we then spend the 35 million on Tell? Why have we brought back Solomon? Why have we got Odegaard on the left? Why are we now trying to put Brennan Johnson onto the left-hand side? We've got players there. So the transfer dealings do not make sense. And my point is, if you're going to spend that much money, 50 million plus on a 21-year-old, when you've got an abundance of, as Pipe said, we haven't got enough to make one out of them players, realistically. You're going to now say we're going to spend this money on a player that's unproven, because he is unproven in comparison to an Eze, who is a very similar price, who just yesterday has now got 2 trophies in his cabinet and probably
it's not even order, Sam. To me, they played that
position. This is the point. We've not seen Spurs spend 70 million
but when they have to, that's what I'm saying.
Go out and then spend another 80, 90 million on a proven. It's not going to happen. Because
what I'm trying to say to you, it's all well and good you saying it's not going to happen, yeah? But until our fans say that it needs to happen, it won't happen. We need to put pressure. And all the podcasts, whenever you go, we need to demand it to happen. and
Yeah,
not say
you've been-
that, not be grateful to say, oh, we can only have one. We
Right.
can only have one 60 million pound thing. No, demand it like other supporters
you
would
just
do. Liverpool
said
supporters would demand it.
not
Every
our
other team would
money.
support demand it. Arsenal supporters would demand it. We need to demand it.
I'm not even disputing that, but what you just said was right. It's not our money. Because it's not our money, we have no reason to think that we have any influence over it being spent. Because if that was the case, we'd have had a lot better players in our club right now. We have no influence over this. It's based around their transfer policy. My point about this is if the transfer policy is to go for Savinho, who's now going to cost upwards of 50 million plus, and I've seen players who are better than that, who are proven than that for less.
Who?
Eze's going to cost
Oh,
less
yes,
than
we
that.
got Eze. Yes, everyone knows
Eze's
Eze.
And
Who
if we're
else?
going to spend 60 million pounds
No. I'm saying
Hold on,
Eze. I'm saying Eze.
Let me finish the point. If we're going to spend 60 million pounds on Savinho, given our transfer dealings in the past and given what we're seeing now, do you really think we're then going to spend another 70 to 80 million on another left-sided stroke 10 when we've already got 3 and we spent 35 million on 19 stroke 20-year-old from Bayern Munich who had the same sort of potential as Savinho? It doesn't make sense.
So you have to answer my question, Sando. So I'm saying, I'm saying we want Eze. I'm saying that we should get Eze. They're different positions, yeah? I'm saying that. That's what I'm saying. We need to get Eze, yeah?
Mhm.
So if we're assuming that we're after Eze, yeah? So that's going on in the background, yeah?
Yep.
We want a winger, yeah? Which other winger? Because we need to have a winger because we haven't replaced Son.
Mhm.
Yeah. So and we've got all of them GA that's missing because Son's no longer playing. Who do we get? Which
That's
winger
not
do we
my
get?
job. But that's not my job.
Yeah,
My
what
You
I'm
know what,
saying
lads?
to you-
Lads, that
saying-
left hand side, we've got Tell Oda about at the moment, competing
So
for
who
that
do we
left hand
get?
side, right? So to Sam's point, you're just putting in another Tell. That's what you're saying in it, Sam.
No.
For 70 million.
That's where I argue with him. I'm saying that I think
But that's what you're saying,
and
innit, Sam?
Tell don't compare.
I think Don't P is asking really for the best in class.
Yes. Yes.
And I've got no problem in that. But what you're saying to me, Don, is as we should be going for a Savinho. I agree.
Yeah.
But then on top of that Savinho, you should have somebody else who's probably ahead of Savinho that we can say, right, it's competition. Where in Spurs' DNA in recent times has that happened?
It hasn't. That's what I'm saying. But it has to change, though.
Oh, why is it going to change now? Why is it going to
It
change
has
now?
to. No, this is what I'm saying to you.
Because
Because we've got a chairman. We've got a chairman for the first time in 24 years that's come out and said that we're going to win. We need to win the Champions League and the Premier League. The first time he said that. So something needs to change.
Okay. When we were in the Champions League, when we were finishing second and all the rest of it, we could have done that. It didn't happen. At the better time than finishing 17th in the Europa League that we should have won because we were favourites to do it anyway. The fact that we've got into the Champions League is neither here nor there. We're not going to win the Champions League next season. We're not going to win the Premier League next season. What we should be either doing is trying to build for the future or buying players now that can compete in
but
that.
Who then, Sam? You saw what you couldn't say that, but
That's
who?
not my job. My job.
But that's a cop out though a little bit though when you think about it. It's a bit of a cop out.
I'd like Rodrigo. Go out and get Rodrigo. Then.
To be honest,
so you're but he's at Real Madrid. He's at Real Madrid playing. Was playing. He's not a Manchester City on the sub bench, kind of not playing all the time. So Rodrigo, if you're looking at some potential for someone who's going to really take us forward, that would be the player. If you're going to say someone who's in the number 10 that might take us forward, who I know is playing regularly, who I've seen is proven, that would be an Eze.
So to my mind, so that's a good shout. So Sam, that's a good shout. Yeah, Rodrigo's a good shout. Yeah. My feeling on Rodrigo is, from what I've seen in the reports, it doesn't appear as though he really wants to come to us. Yeah, he doesn't see us on that level. So in terms of, so you've come up with a good suggestion because that profile of player, Rodrigo, I think is yes, you're right. But then when I look at it, Rodrigo's goal output, he's never scored a goal a season more than 10 goals. Yeah, so his GA, he's got same issues as Silvinho's got. Yeah, he doesn't always get in the Madrid team now. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, if you look at this, so what I'm saying to you is, I think that they're in a similar situation. They're both going to be fighting for minutes to play for Brazil. So I don't think, whilst Rodrigo might be a bit ahead of him, I don't think that there's that much in it. To me, that's my take on it.
So if you had a choice and you had to spend 70 million on either one, which would you do?
I would, if I was the choice, I would go for Rodrigo first. and Sevilla would be
You
my
answered
second.
my question.
No,
you
yeah,
can
yes.
That's
But Sam, what I'm saying is, I don't think the gap's that massive. I don't think there's that much in between it. So
Because if you had
Rodrigo would be
choice
number
of
one, but I
spending
don't think it's a
70
massive gap.
million, and 70 million is probably what you're going to need to get him out. If 60, I don't know, because I'm going by reports here, but they're not going to let him go for 50 million because they.
And how much
they
is
rate
Rodrigo
him
going to go
highly.
for? How much is Rodrigo going to go for?
Well, again, I'm only going by reports. Some people are saying we can get him for 60 million. Some people are
No.
Some people
Rodrigo is
100
saying
million.
90. They're saying 90.
More.
Look on Google. Look on your chat GPT.
It'd be sold if it was
90.
60. It'd be sold.
Yeah,
And there
yeah.
you- and
It's
there
not.
you
It's not
go.
60.
If
Sam.
the player wants out,
Yeah.
prices aren't going to be. If Isak wants out of Newcastle, which he does, he's not going for 150. Hence the reason why Liverpool are not putting 150. If Eze wants to go to Arsenal, hence the reason why Arsenal are not putting 70 million, because they think they can get him cheaper. Because if the player has a desire to go, eventually by the end of the transfer window, he will get his wish. If that's the case.
To be fair, though, Sam,
unfortunately,
that's dependent on length of contract, though.
right,
I
fair enough.
I believe still has 3 years left on his Newcastle deal. So Newcastle.
So therefore, no, Newcastle don't have to sell him then. But if the player's unhappy, you want to keep the player for 3 years.
To answer your
unhappy?
question, they can hold that for 150 if they choose to.
Exactly.
Or they might not sell him at all.
And so why then we getting so vexed about the Morgan Gibbs one if what has been done? The man has been signed up for another year, and we should say, well, we should put another 30 million to get him for 100 million to test them. Well, why don't Liverpool go and test Newcastle and put 150 in and see if they can then get him? If the players for sale or the players not for sale,
maybe our need
irrelevant.
for Gibbs White is greater than Liverpool's need for Isak. It's all about
And so
needs,
therefore, we should be making sure we spend this money wisely on somebody that's going to come into this team and take it forward and not have a 3-monther.
To be fair, Sam, both of you are kind of right, if that makes sense. We have to be circumspect in how we spend this money. Yeah. Now, me personally, I would spend that on Eze. He's a sure thing. At the same time, though, to amplify Don P's point, we should be going for both. It shouldn't be an either or. We should be.
I agree.
We as a fan base. So he's totally correct. Levy has come out for the first time in 24 years and said, we want to win. We want to win the Champions League and the Premier League. So we as a fan base then, we need to hold him to account.
Yes.
Yeah?
How?
So how? By like Don P
voicing it.
Or demanding as a fan base.
Yes.
We cannot be saying, don't do that. It's not in our DNA.
Has any of that worked?
60,000 seater stadium. Yeah. We have external revenues coming out of our every orifice in terms of money coming into the club. Where's that money going? He said we can't be just sitting back as fans and saying, you know what, it's not.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Exactly.
You know,
so tell me, as a fan, what you would like me to do to demand from the board to go and buy the.
So first of all, Sam, the first thing to do is changing the narrative.
It starts on the ground. Yeah, if you say what we need to do. Now that could be either attending the protest in bigger numbers.
Yeah.
It could be staying away from matches. Yeah. Loads and loads of empty seats send a very powerful message optically. There's things we can do. If we as fans just sit back and say, you know what can we do?
Nothing we can do. Nothing will change.
Okay. Yeah. Now my argument would be the fact that they could sell that stadium out regardless of whether I go.
Yes, I know.
So that's not going to affect them. I've seen that club shop. I've seen it around the corner. I've seen how many people go to that club shop regardless. When we were in the position where we were really demanding, when there's like a lot of, I saw the club shop being bought out. So none of this thing about us protesting is going to do anything. If the only way is if they do want to sell. If they want
Sam, why do you think Donna Collins no longer at the club, Sam?
I don't know. They ain't told me. I don't know.
You could go back even. You could go back even further.
Something's coming in it.
You can go back for concrete proof. Why do you think? And to all of you, why do you think Alan Sugar left the club?
Exactly because of fans.
He was driven out.
Nah, you know what, guys? The Gary Neville interview. Gary Neville didn't really get under Levy's skin. He was probably told not to, but he did ask one question. He did ask one question. He did say it was like a snippet, and he goes, "There's the protest."
Yeah, and you saw his face.
And Levy went, and he fogged it off. But you see what his face really said was, "You know what? It's turning. the wave is turning. Right, 2
I
seasons
saw
ago
that.
there
I
wasn't.
saw that, Josh.
He's worried. Listen, guys, why would you
saw that,
build a
Josh.
65k stadium seater
I
for
saw
then
that.
it to chant your name out? Why would you do that?
Yes.
You don't want that. That wasn't the dream. That wasn't the fantasy or the picture in his head when he done it. If you have 30,000 fans,
I
even
need to
half
go
of the
now, though,
stadium
guys. But
singing "Leave It Out," it's
yeah,
it's gonna
I need to
affect
go.
him.
But thanks everyone for letting me have my little mouthpiece. But obviously, it's something I feel really passionate about this thing here. And I just think that now is the opportunity, and we just can't be just kind of, oh, we need to be grateful with only doing one or two, whatever. Now is the time to basically insist on it. Like, if we're not going to change now, we're never going to change. Right? Cheers, bless, thanks
Peace
all.
out. Don.
Come
Thank
on, you
you.
Spurs.
Come on.
They are.
No, that was really good. And like I said, this is how we it's not a case of any rights or wrong, because I don't believe I'm saying I'm right, but what I'm saying is I'm just going off what I've seen
I
previously.
think, Sam,
and
on
I
what
know
you're
now.
saying, there's one big difference that it's not in our hands, it's not our money, but Savinho is on £40,000 a week. You know, Rodrigo's not going to come for less than 200, and that's where it falls down for us as fans. That's where that debate just stops. Do you know what I mean? And that's the problem.
Again, Josh, we shouldn't be so accepting of it though, because at the end of the day, listen, we're one of the few clubs that operates at this ridiculous 42% wages to revenue ratio. Most clubs who operate lower than that get relegated, and then there's us. So I'm saying to you, so we like I said, we as a fan, why are we tolerating this nonsense? Because like I said, you have Liverpool, they have no 60,000 seater stadium, they have no NFL, they have no pop concerts, they have no boxing. How are they going out and slapping down £100 million on 2-3 players when they feel like it? How?
You don't even have to go to Liverpool to actually look and see what's being. Just look at Manchester United. They're not even in the Champions League. They finished 2 places above us last season. Yes, I know it's. Yeah, I know it's Manchester United and they've got that pull, but their stadium's falling apart. They've got so many issues there, but yet they've got players. They've got a brand new front three, having spent 70 odd million on Sesko, 50 odd million on what's it called, Embuemo, and the player on the other side, Cunha. They spent over 60. So again, it's got nothing to do with whether you're in the Champions League or not. It's whether you can convince the player that you've got something to do at this club. My point about all these things is Savinho coming to our club. He cannot look at our club to say, oh, I see a real thing here that's going to make me push my career on. There's none of that. It can either be, as with all the deals that I've seen so far, money at the end of the day. Now, Kudus could have said he wants to come to Spurs, but he wanted out of West Ham. Money. He's definitely not getting paid less at Spurs than he is at West Ham. Savinho, as you just now said to me, Josh, if he's on 40 grand a week, of fucking course I'd want to come out of fucking Manchester City and play for somebody else. Not necessarily play all the time, but if they're going to offer me 100 grand a week, I'm tripling my wages. Of course you're going to want to do it. That makes perfect sense. As now I can understand why this is going this way. If he's on 120 grand, there's no way he's going to come to Spurs. There's no way on earth. And we've got somebody else who's going to join in this chat as well. It's Mr. Sid Spurs. He wants his say as well. Sid, welcome.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
The singing detective.
What
Before we
going
go back
on?
around the table again, you just give me your overall view of what you've been hearing on this talking points today. Because, like I said, I'm what I will agree with is if we bought Savinho on top of a Eze or a quality number 10, let's say it was Morgan Gibbs or whatever you want to call it, I'd be, yeah, that's good business. But if we're going to go in isolation and you're telling me we're going to spend 60 million plus, pay this guy on a player that we've got potential for, I'm not having it.
Listen, Savinho would be a good addition to what we've already got, right? Because what we've got is nothing. And when you have nothing at all.
That's the reality. That's the sad reality, you know.
Better than what we've got.
One is better than zero.
Yeah, right. Now, is he the marquee signing that I wanted? Probably not. The reason he wants to leave Man City, right, is because there's a World Cup coming next year. And everybody wants a piece of the World Cup. And Savinho knows that I'm not starting in this game. Yeah, so I need to go somewhere else where I know I can start better. In fact, I know I'm better than anything they've got on that left at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I should start week in, week out. Job done. I'm in the World Cup squad. Off we go. This guy scored 1 goal last season or 2 goals for Man City, yeah? Not good enough for a winger, stroke left winger or whatever he was, in my opinion. City, 43 million they want, but apparently they don't want 43. They want more than the 43 million pound price tag because they want to finance a deal for Rodrigo. So they're going to get rid of Savinho for Rodrigo. Yeah. However, answer your question, Sam. If Savinho is the only signing, then boy, questions need to be asked, because how the hell are you going to win the Champions League and the Premier League with Savinho as your addition to Kudus and the, whatever we got for Takai and Tel and Danso?
Yeah, but when Levy said that, did anyone believe him? Seriously, guys, wasn't that just PR
No,
talk?
of course not. But the fact of the matter is, Josh, he said it. So you hold
Yeah, but that's just him being stupid, man. He ain't gonna win no Premier League, mate.
No, but then, listen, this is Tottenham Hotspur
He's just
football club.
stupid, man. But we shouldn't believe it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, don't make statements, because you've made fools of Tottenham fans season in, season out, year in, year out, yeah? If you're going to come up with a statement like this, yeah, if you're not going to back it up, you need to get the fuck out of this club. Simple, yeah? Because enough is enough. We fucking won the Europa League, yeah? Man United lost the Europa League, and look at their front three now they've got. They've got some mad forward three, right? And if that Belieber deal goes through, and whatever, this is a team that lost a Europa League final to Tottenham, and they've gone on a hell-bound spending spree while we're fucking doing the usual, oh, there's a possibility, oh, we're in talks, oh, we looked at him, oh, we looked at him on the left side and the right-hand side, and oh, yeah, we're 2 steps closer, 3 steps back. You know what I mean? It's bullshit. So, yes, Savinho's a good signing. However, that is not enough, mate. That is not enough.
To me, it's like we've been put on a diet, and then someone said, "Oh, there's some cream cake here." We're like, "Oh, I can't wait." But the cream's actually going off. That's how I look at it. Not to say that Savinho is going off, but the whole transfer dealings. If we're talking about this player as the player to, there's better players than him that are playing, and I've named one of them. Now I could go into looking the market. There's been players that have been bought by other teams that would feel that. Now you could look at someone like Diaz. How much did he go to Bayern Munich for?
75.
Was it 75? Right.
75.
There you go. So therefore, a player that's proven in the Premier League is going for that amount of money. Proven in the Premier League. He would have been an addition at Spurs, 100%. So if we're going to do that, if we spend that sort of money on a non-proven, it's a bigger risk than doing it, obviously, on a proven player. Also, the fact that if what you said was right, Josh, and he was on 40 grand, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer for me. He's not being paid what he's worth.
The thing is, though, guys, when a club looks at a signing, they look at the overall cost, right, including wages, right? They look at the payment structure. They look at the fee, obviously, as well. And I'm just wondering, if you look at someone like Diaz, obviously high wages, and he wanted to go by Munich, fair play to him. We're not a big fish, let's be honest. You know, I mean, we are Spurs. We're just below the big fish, which is probably why we're talking about Savinho to Man City. But if you look at the overall total cost,
why the hell are we then looking to get all these other players? Why do we?
No, the way I look at it is the clubs looked at the overall cost and they've said 5-year contract, 100 grand a week, 50 million up front, or 30 million and the other 30 million next year, or however they're going to do it. And they've looked at it as that. That's how they're looking at it, guys. They're not looking at it like
always paramount in Levy's thinking, you know.
Always.
And
that's how Levy operates.
Yeah, but what the idiot doesn't understand is that you buy shit, you usually end up buying twice. Yeah, if you spend on the top best in class, wages, everything included, the chances are you won't have to buy for another couple of years.
Exactly.
You end up spending more in the long run by buying cheap.
Guys, the last person we bought from a Premier League team that you could say somewhat proven on 180 grand a week was James Maddison. That's the last time he put his hand in his pocket with the wages and the money.
Yeah, but even with that, though, the debate's out on it, isn't it? The debate's out.
So that's where Levy's probably thinking, I don't want to risk it again. You know, even though we know Eze's quality.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like you said, guys. It's like you said, Pipes, isn't it? Why don't you just go and spend X amount of money on a top quality player that you don't need to worry about for 3 years, rather than spending 50 million here, 40 million here, 20 million here, 30 million here on that different players, because
The
you're getting
question
wrong.
is though, Sid, Eze's 25, right? This is his
Yeah.
peak. Now he's going into right World Cup. You know, probably wants to play in the Champions League. Probably wants to win a trophy. If Arsenal are genuinely involved, what can we really do to turn his head?
No,
You
but Josh, that Arsenal supposed link or deal has been there now for the last month.
Exactly.
Today they find out if they're going to be in the Europa League. It's in the thing today, the court of whatever, right? The football court. It's going to find. I wonder if today is the trigger for if they're not in the Europa League, then do Crystal Palace say like, you can go. We don't need you twice a week.
Well, I can tell
We don't need you.
They have demoted to the Conference League. The decision went against.
Oh, is it broken? Pipe?
Yeah.
The news. Oh, so they're not going to be in the Europa League?
No.
Oh.
Right. The answer to that as well, Josh. Parish has come out today and said they're going to be forced to sell Mark Guéhi because next year he's going on a free. So he is not going to lose Guéhi and Eze in the same window. I think Guéhi to Liverpool is going to be done within the next couple of, within a week. I reckon Guéhi to Liverpool is done. Eze ain't going anywhere because he will not lose Guéhi and Eze. I think he sees Eze as a.
So if Eze's not for sale, we just need to remove him from our debates.
Well, we do, 100%. I don't know why fans are still stuck on it. We like to get stuck on things that are not going to happen.
Yeah, if we remove him from the debate, that means, in my head, that they're looking to get this Savinho as being the marquee signing. Because if there's no Eze, and we've all just talked about it, who's going to, and it's not my job or your job to identify players. That's the club's job. They've got scouts who are being paid to go all over the world to scout. That's their job. They don't have to necessarily look in the. They have to look at what's the best thing for the club based on what the manager needs. Now, if that's Savinho and they've identified it, great. I just have my doubts about it based on what I've seen previously and what we're now discussing. And what you've thrown some things out there, 40 grand a week. Oh my God. If City really had real respect for this player in terms of what he is, they wouldn't be paying him 40 grand a week. They just wouldn't. He would have a new deal. And even if they were looking to sell him, at least they would know that they've got him on a longer contract.
I want to make one tactical point on Savinho. So if you look at, say, a Bournemouth and you look at Semenyo, and then you look at someone like Savinho, the way Man City play is they park themselves in your front garden and they try and tiki-taka their way into the goal. They try and pass the goal into the net. I just wonder if you put Savinho at a Bournemouth that play a more mixed game under a Thomas Frank, does he have the freedom to express himself like we saw with Sonny under Conte? I just wonder, is that style that Pep has, is that even made for Savinho? You know, can he really stretch his legs and dribble that man and twist him up and have the space to then cut in and do what if you look at the highlight reels, that man's running into buses every time. So I just wonder if Pep's style is really in line with Savinho. When you look at some of these other wingers, like even Eze at Palace, Eze in City, he's just going to run into brick walls. And I just wonder if that's something that maybe Savinho would excel at, at that Frank system. It might be that Frank looks at him and says, I can get the best out of you. We need to look at that as well. Playing style.
What we saying also that we're talking potential players. I mean, these Harvey Elliott links are still not going away either. I mean, again, that doesn't really move me particularly either. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but that's not a player.
It's not a needle mover. It's not a needle mover.
And to the other positions, because I think we've done the Savinho thing to death, and we've all got different opinions, and that's great. And I appreciate that there's no right. And I'm not saying I'm right in any of it. I'm just, like I said,
But you know what, Sam? Let's just have a final round. So you're saying no for 60 mil. You're saying no.
No, we don't need that.
Sid,
what for Savinho?
Would you take Savinho for 60 mil?
I take him for 60 mil because it's not so for 60 mil I'd take him, and I think he'll do a hell of a lot better job than what we've got already. It's a yes.
That's a yes.
It's a yes.
I don't care about the money. If Frank wants him, give him. That's what I say. Take him.
Yeah, 100%. I'm taking him.
And Pipes, yours is a no, innit?
No, actually, all things considered, and if Eze we're saying unequivocally that is off the table, then I have to say I have to agree with Sid. I think we have to take him because we're not in a position to choose. Beggars can't be choosers, and he is better than anything we have currently. That is the unescapable truth.
And there's Spurs all for you. That's our
guys,
transfer.
what you got to remember. What you got to remember as well, Sam, is £60 million for a player who wants to get into the World Cup squad to play in the World Cup. So you know that he's going to be playing hell for leather to try and get into that squad.
And this is where...
Good luck with that, Vinicius Junior, Rafinha, Martinelli.
What you've all got to remember as well, sorry to cut you, but everybody and their mother knows Tottenham has at least £60 million burning a hole in our pocket because of the MGW saga. So,
and
that's going to be our tax anyway.
My point about this, okay, so my point about the Sevilla, this is my last point about it. If he was that essential to Spurs and he's that value because he's blah blah blah, he's not been missing, he's been there all this time. Why did we get Tell? Why have we got Odebert? Why have we got all these players back off loan? And now we're going for him because we can't get this other player. That's the only if you've identified, if you've got a transfer policy and you've got a good one, and Frank's been in the job nearly 2 months now, and you're telling me he's identified because he doesn't just work off names or off the eye test, he works off data. So if the data's there, the data hasn't changed for Savinho. So if he's up there with the left wingers, because we've always known we wanted a left winger, because I think we've always known Son's going, we said that, you would have identified Savinho as being a player that you would want to go for. So if you can't get Eze and you're struggling at this point now, why have we not gone for him before that? I can't go with all you guys on this thing. Oh, well, we need him now because we're desperate. We're desperate. We've got an opportunity to get a player for less than 40 grand a week, or sorry, for just over 40 grand a week. That's a perfect deal for
guys. Just on the stats.
But with that being said, what's the alternative that we do then? Because we're struggling on that side of the pitch.
You've all said we need to go for best in class. Is he best in class? That we
in his age group, he's up there.
He's best in class.
Now we're making caveats. If he's identified as a player that Thomas Frank wanted, we would have put a bid in earlier. He's not a player that Thomas Frank wanted initially. It's a player that he may want now. He is not the best in class because Eze is better than him. Rodrigo is better than him. There's probably other players.
I think we're not being fair to the kid, man. He's 21. In his age group, he's up there. I don't have
to be fair to him.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, he's not the best in class in that position, but he is in his age group. He's up there.
Can I just say something?
It's a different signing.
Right, can I just say something? You know when you go to a nightclub on a Saturday night, yeah? And everyone's there and you're with your boys, yeah? And everyone's hooked up, yeah? And you're just left there and you know what's standing around there waiting because she's not hooked up as well because nobody else wants her. You're gonna take it, aren't you? Because that's what you got. Desperate times calls for desperate measures.
Sid, it helps. She's Brazilian, mate. It helps.
Right. And I'll tell you this.
So
and I can tell you this from personal experience, and this goes back a long time ago. From personal experience, you wake up in the morning and you regret it. You wake up in the morning and you regret.
We're not looking at regrets. We're looking at the current situation at that time. You're going for it.
Last
mate, she's Brazilian. I'm all in.
You don't wake up in the morning and go, oh yeah, I've got a
I'm in, bro.
Here. You do not say that. No,
you don't say that.
Pipes is wearing his Brazilian colours as well. Look at that.
But the problem is, we put ourselves
1000th and first in line for Body Blue. That's where Tottenham are at the moment, mate.
Bro, we've put ourselves in this predicament, yeah? We have had all of the June, July, August to go and buy somebody that we wanted that's on top of his list, yeah? But we've been hiding behind Morgan Gibbs-White for 2 months. Then Eze. Yeah. And then
there you go.
He's been watching Greece because he's been watching Greece because we're not the ones that he wants. Nobody wants us. Ooh.
The Morgan Gibbs-White saga exposed everything that Tottenham is about regarding in terms of transfer policy that we have now. Yeah, because as you said, we sat down. A, we didn't try and make an improve off of Gibbs White, and B, we just stopped all transfer business for other players. We're a joke.
And yeah, exactly. Because you got the £6 million man, and you got everybody else, and we were supposed to have the
guys. Let me
60
ask you
million.
a question: is Martinelli better than Tellen Odegaard?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, that's Savino. Savino's Martinelli. Look at the stats in every way.
Yeah, but the thing is, guys, the thing
sorry, can I stop there? Can I stop? He's not Martinelli, because Martinelli
He's got the
is
same profile.
regular, and he's. What I'm trying to say is, if you bought Martinelli, that would be a less of a risk, in my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm saying I can look at Martinelli might need, I don't know, somebody to pass the ball to him, because they're just going down that right hand side because Saka's there. I could see that being very similar for us this season. If we're just going to go down the Kudus side, whoever's on that left wing is going to be non-existent. And I've already starting to see signs of that already with Brennan Johnson being on that side. It's almost non-existent. So if we're going down that same way with the Martinelli comparison to Savino, I'd rather have Martinelli, because A, you probably get him cheaper than that anyway, because they want rid of him. But B, I think he's more proven. I think I've seen him play better than, I don't know Savino like that, but I certainly think they're paying more than 40 grand a week.
He's a couple of years younger than Martinelli, but yeah.
To be honest, Sam, and the rest of you guys, you know what? The more I think about it, I think this Savino link is quite frankly, you have to take with a pinch of salt, because at the end of the day, we've already signed Show and Tell. For whatever reason, we've signed. So
listen,
it don't make no sense to be going after another left winger, because they've already made our signing on that side.
Listen, I've got to go, yeah, because I've got a physio. But before I go, all I'm going to say is ask Sam about my Dominic Solanke conversation I had with him before. Yeah, and also Wednesday night is gonna be the, for me, that's what's gonna, when shit's gonna hit the fan, when we realize that PSG are gonna absolutely muller us, or work out where our weaknesses are and what we're lacking. And I think that is going to open up a can of worms on Wednesday, and it's going to be some serious meltdown. And we've got 2 weeks to sort it out. And I just hope he doesn't go and panic and buy certain players. Makichi's not coming because apparently he's going to Forest now. So that's that done. Who we go for, I haven't got a clue. And I'm still saying, yes, we're all talking about this left-hand side. We're talking about Grealish now going to Everton, and we're talking about Savino. We're still not addressing the number 10 and a striker issue, and that needs to be sorted, mate.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, enjoy.
Thanks. Appreciate that. I'm off the back of that. If you spent 35, right? Okay, I'll take another step. If you've got a transfer policy that you've identified by knowing that you're going to sack Croc at the end of June, whatever it was, and bring in Thomas Frank, you would then imagine we've got a transfer policy. Not necessarily have names on there, but because Thomas Frank's data driven, you've got a set, right? So we're going to leave the left-sided player because Son's going, right? Here's the data to suggest what we need. This is the style I play, blah, 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 blah. Who fits into that? Oh, Eze fits into that. Oh, Kudos fits in that from the right. That's what I would expect to happen. So if you then prioritize. So what do we need firstly? We need to get number 6. That's the position. Tick that off. Polino's there. Right. What's the next position that we need? Because we are short of it. Creativity, number 10. But tick that off. We ain't done that yet. Then I would say the left-hand side, because we've already got an abundance of left-handed players, and now we're going to play Brennan Johnson on that left-hand side. It looks like it. So we've got Johnson, we've got Tell, we've got Odegaard, we've got Solomon, who's probably not, he's injured at the moment, but I've been told that he could play. And like more you've sent out on that. So you've got 5 players there of a left-hand side. Why are you then going to spend money over £50 million on a 6th player that you don't even know is going to make the needle?
But Sam, I think the left you've only got Tell and Odegaard. I don't see BJ. I think BJ and Kudus will fight it out for the right. I think Tell and Odegaard will fight out for the left. I don't think he'll switch up Kudus. Kudus loves it on the right. I don't think he'll do that. And the thing is, it's funny actually, because we bought Kudus from West Ham, who's being played on the right, played on the left when he's right. And we're now looking to buy Savino, who plays for Man City, who plays on the right but should be on the left. So we're kind of going to these players and saying, let's put you back where you belong, where you are most threatening. So we're kind of sorting out their careers, you know what I mean? And giving them more playing time in Savino's case and in wages as well. And also Kudos's case, we're giving him his preferred position and slightly more better wages. So that's what they seem to be doing is.
That's what we do.
That's the
Solanke
theory.
in
That's
tow
the theory.
is the theory. You spend 65 million on him. He's not high up in the wages. You get what you get. He scored 19 goals the season before. I knew that he would never score that amount of goals again. Liverpool let him go, blah, blah, blah. Chelsea, wherever it was he's been, he's not that guy. We're not getting the guy. If you want to be Champions League potential and Premier League potentials, you have to buy the guy. Liverpool went and bought the guys.
Exactly.
They bought the guy Pringpong on that. They bought Kirkes out of things.
I mean,
they
I
know
watched
they're
a
the
bit of the
guy.
game yesterday. I watched a bit of the game yesterday. Sorry to cut you, Sam. And you know, you could see Florence Witz's class all over the bloody booth. It was ridiculous. You know what I mean? You pay for what you get at the end of the day. You pay for what you get.
Etikite, well, that's his name.
Exactly.
Right. That one touch that he did showed me everything that you need to know about a player. His goal that he scored showed me everything. That's what you get.
If you think about it, guys, Gordon from Everton was a steal for Newcastle. Yeah.
And I wasn't even a big fan of his.
Well, I could see the potential, like, you know, for what he was doing. And Savinho has not hit the decks like Gordon, but we are becoming Newcastle and Villa. I mean, we are Newcastle and Villa. Let's not mess about. We are Newcastle and Villa.
Josh, I mean, even I posted it in the group. Crystal Palace, they have five players. Five.
I would even say
Palace.
Listen,
I think we need to stop comparing us to the top four because we ain't even swimming in them waters.
Yeah.
No, we're not swimming in them waters, bro.
Take right now. If you offered me the chance between these two players, and some people are going to say, "Oh, how can you say?" I take Harvey Barnes over Savinho right this moment in time. I take Harvey Barnes over him because of the fact that I can see what he's got, what he's done, and proven on a regular basis.
That's an interesting shout.
That's what I would do.
Guys, we've had a certain Brazilian before who had all the tricks and flicks and a bit of pace. Anyone remember Lucas Moura? Some of these Brazilian players, and I put Martinelli in that bracket, they sort of just fade out. They come with the flicks and tricks. They do some fancy stuff. They get a few assists. They have one breakout season and then they fade. That's the problem with some of these South American players. They can't hold it up. Diaz couldn't hold it up at Liverpool.
That generation.
And you mentioned Harvey Barnes. That's why I'm mentioning it. The English lads.
This generation of Brazilians is definitely the lowest in standard I can remember for a very long time. That is true.
Yeah, look at the first 11. Richarlison's their striker. So I don't know if Brazilian players back in the day, it was a different story, but you know, they can't seem to hack it in the Premier League. And maybe Savinho is just the next man on the list who couldn't hack it in the Premier League. And we're about to spend 60 million on him, or whatever it is.
And Pep's not paying him more than 40 grand a week, if that's to be proved right. And for me, that's taking the piss. If you're at Man City and you're on 40 grand a week and you're in the first team on a rotation alongside other players, that's taking the piss.
I just wonder, guys, has Savinho and his agent gone to Man City and said, listen, our boy is a left-sided player. You've tried him on the right, hasn't worked out. There's a World Cup coming. He's on shitty wages. He can't get ahead of Doku. We don't want to make a big scene about it, but we have had conversations with Spurs and Lange and whatever, PRTVSPURS, whatever, and there's a deal to be done and we want to get it done. Is this deal being done because of footballing reasons well?
Let me give my opinion and then Pops can give it. I think if City offer him 100 grand a week and 2 years extension on his contract, he stays at City. You don't come to Spurs.
But then, does he want to play on the left and be the main man? Does he want to be a big fish in a Tottenham pond?
I personally don't think he cares in that sense because Spurs is not a step up. It's not a step up.
But he'll be a bigger fish.
That doesn't.
Because this is the problem City have, don't they? They can't give. The one weakness they have is there's too many big fish in their pond.
17 minutes to their players. And it's, I mean, to be fair, to answer Sam's point, in a normal year, I would agree with you. But as Josh has pointed out, this is World Cup year. So it really depends on the player's motivation. Is it cash or is it he wants to play in the World Cup? Like I said, I do smell Cole Palmer vibes that the player himself is probably pushing for the move.
Put ice on that. Put ice on that, Pipes. Put ice on that, mate.
Maybe. But I mean, I don't know. But 40 grand a week, if his wages are improved at City, he stays. I don't think it's a given, put it that way, with World Cup year approaching. I think but again, I could just crash my whole argument by saying just take it all with a pinch of salt because I don't really know, really truthfully, if this link is 100% concrete. So
if we're serious, and this is a serious conversation about Savinho, and all the reports about him saying he wants to, and City are prepared to if they get the right money, then we should be slapping 65 million. Here you go. You can't turn this down. Player, we can put you on 100 grand, 80, 90, whatever. It's going to have to be 100 grand because there's players on there that are on more money than that who shouldn't be. So you're going to get the player if that is the case. Let's see. And that's all I'll say. Let us see. Because I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that's the case.
I mean,
I can't see.
I got the devil on my shoulder. Still, I cannot shell out 65 million for this player while Eze is still on the market.
100%, and that's my argument
would always
right
be
there.
my default position, to be honest with you. I cannot shell out on this player while Eze is still there.
100% agree with that.
So,
guys, I think you know what, we've got the Super Cup to look forward to. Just a quick final thoughts.
Forgot about that.
What a treat!
My final thoughts on this are, because it's not a preseason game. Essentially, it's a preseason game because it's before the season starts, but it's a competitive game. I think we'll see a different approach by Thomas Frank. Now, whether this approach is a pragmatic defensive type performance, if it yields the results, I don't think it matters. However, if it's a pragmatic defensive type performance and it doesn't yield results, and we get, let's say, a 2-3-0, I think we are in some serious conversations about what's going to happen for the season, in my personal opinion, because you can do that against Bayern Munich and change everybody and change 9, 6, 8, whatever number of players that they change, say it's non-competitive, it's away from home, blah, blah, blah. But this is now a serious competition that we're into. Whether it's a one-off game, it's a one-off game. Now, I've seen Crystal Palace in one-off games win 2 trophies. There's no excuse for us. None. That's my final thoughts. Pipes, final thoughts.
Yeah, I kind of echo. I mean, I think, and also to go back to Josh's point, I mean, this is will be his second game now against European opposition, and I will suggest he needs to have a better showing tactically and in terms of result, because obviously, like I said, this is a step up of his level, and he, for me, is still very much under audition. I appreciate all the external factors, the ridiculous transfer window, the lack of help he's being given, but he himself has got to show us something. You know what I mean? Like I said, I didn't see the game, but by the reports, we got schooled by Bayern Munich's kids. So he's now got to somehow get something out of this game on Wednesday. If it's not a win, an honourable defeat. But show something in terms of his tactical prowess up against European opposition and tactics and coaches, because that's the waters he's going to be swimming in this season. So, but beyond that, I really couldn't tell you or forecast anything else. Really. I can't. I'd be lying if I said I could.
Josh.
I think, guys, Bayern Munich was look, these players have been traveling a lot, right? And Frank's still trying to get his system in, but I think Frank will watch that Chelsea performance and how PSG were beaten, 3-0 in the Club World Cup. So I think he'll be using that as a reference point. I think the 2 biggest problems Frank has is there's no 10, there's no Madders, there's no Kulu. Does he play Bergwijn? Does he play Sarr? Does he play Paulinho, who was shocking against Bayern Munich? And Paulinho only played 1 game since April or something like that. Something crazy. He hasn't been starting for Bayern. He's not fit. So he's got to sort out his 8 position, his 6 position, and his 10 position. That whole midfield is a puzzle for him. What does he start with? Is Paulinho fit enough or not? Solanke is out. Richie's the only man up top. And we saw him miss that header against Bayern Munich, the one quality chance we had.
He's traveling with the squad though, Josh. Is he definitely out?
With Solanke. Well, is he? If he starts, is he even 100%? I mean, there's so many question marks on the left-hand side. Obviously, you've got Tell now. Sonny's not there. If Savino comes in, can he play a cameo? But the boys have had 6 days of rest. They've been at Hotspur Way. They've been in England. The time zones have been reset. The food is back how it was. The sleep is back at ours. They've had their girlfriends and wives with them for a week. Hopefully, they're settled and relaxed. And they come off the back of a massive trophy win. So they have that in their veins, that pump in their veins of winning. And that hopefully will be the motivation to drive them. And I think we'll see more energy. I think we'll see more performance. But then it comes down to individual errors on the day. The quality, PSG have more. But if you look at the Chelsea team and you look at the Chelsea performance, they did it. So there's no reason why we can't do it. We saw Crystal Palace do it yesterday. Even if we take them to pens, no problem. So I think there'll be a lot more energy, motivation, and then it will just come down to individual errors and tactics. And remember, PSG are not going to change the way they play. They're going to press. Frank knows how to trap a team and hit them on the counter. And that's where your Tells and Odebergs and Kuders and BJ and all these guys are going to come into play. So hopefully we're looking at a counter-attacking, grab and smash, get out of there, 1-0 victory, something like that. It's going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty on the eye, but PSG are there for the taking, guys, if you ask me, because they play football high up the field and Frank knows how to play counter. You know, if this was Ange in charge, you'd have to question, can he counter them? But this is Frank, Thomas Frank. This is right up his street, countering teams. He's done it against the top six.
I think if Kroc was in charge of this team now, he'd be playing very similar to how he played against Manchester United. That's how I believe it to be. And I think Thomas Frank, because Thomas Frank is known to be playing this pragmatic sort of approach, we're all expecting that's the way he's going to go. Because I would have said, you know, play like how Chelsea played. If you've got them tools, you can beat PSG. It's been proven. It's been shown. If they get it right on the day and they get everything clicking, then we can't beat them because they're a better team. They've got better players. But tactically is where you get the leveler. You can see and employ tactics in a game to get the best out. And I'm going to go back to Crystal Palace doing that. Now I look at Crystal Palace's team and say they are a better team than us on paper. They're a better team than us, not just on paper, but by watching them. But were they 6 months ago? No. What's the reason for them being improved? They've got someone who's coaching them. They've got someone who's putting players in the positions that they play well in. They've got everything balanced. They play in the back three, which suits the players that they may have at times. I'm expecting Thomas Frank to come with something that does and employs that type of tactics and strategy to get a result. Not a friendly game where you're going to make 6 or 7 changes at halftime and you're trying to get players, shoehorn players to see if they can play. He now knows, right, who's competitive for this game. You can see that without having to know these players. You can see who's got that eye of the tiger, who's got that steel, who's got that determination. There ain't that many in our squad. So we're going to have to hope and pray that we can get the best out of them from that perspective, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, they're going to attack us down the flanks, guys. That's what PSG do with Hakimi coming from right back, with Desiree Doué, with Dembele. And that's where we need to be careful. As Pedro Porro needs to be very mindful.
Yeah, they have to stay at home, but we should have a puncher's chance still, because obviously we should be ahead of them in our pre-season. So
correct.
You know, that does give us a puncher's chance, but it depends on the players' mentality as well. If they go on the pitch petrified, then
I think we've got as much puncher's chance as Dillian White's got against Moses Atoma at the weekend. He's gonna get smacked.
Listen, hey, that's what you're fighting at the weekend, you know.
That's a good fight at the weekend. That's a good fight. That kid is.
You know what, guys? It's been the year of the underdogs. If you look at it from, you know, Palace winning the FA Cup to the Charity Shield to Spurs winning the Europa League, and there's something different in the air this year. 2025 has had something different in the air. Chelsea beat PSG in the Club World Cup, and it is the year of the underdog. So maybe we go on and win another trophy. Hopefully.
Well, if Palace can do it, why can't we try? You know, these things become a habit, and Tottenham surely have bigger resources than they should be able to push on from Bilbao.
The expectation is on PSG. They lost the World Cup, the Club World Cup. They need to give something back to their fans. They are under a lot of pressure, and that club has failed under pressure for how long since the guys took over? You know what I mean? The Middle East guys took over. So you know the pressure's on them, not on us. For us, if we win, we're the underdogs. You know what I mean? So pressure's on them. Hopefully that can play against them in a neutral stadium.
We are definitely Dillian White going into this contest on Wednesday. So I hope.
I think we should be excited.
We should be excited.
I don't know if that's the right word, but I get your point.
I'm just going off purely off what Palace and what we've done this year. I'm just going off that, man. There's no logic to my argument. It's
time to get out of here because we've done this to death now. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel PRTV Spurs. I'm going to say it again. My camera's blah blah blah, and these lot are taking the piss out of me. They think I'm MI5 and that, but I'm not. It's just that
it wasn't activated. It wasn't activated, so we know we get it.
He's not allowed to show his face. He's not allowed. He's been told no activation, no face recognition.
That's what I'm saying. It's just there's internet issues at work and blah blah blah. Anyway, be thankful that at least I can get on here. Thank you, Pipes. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Sid.
No problem, double agent. No problem.
We got you, mate. We got you. Don't worry. You're safe with us.
Exactly.
Oh, well, join us again. I think we might try and do something either pre or post game on Wednesday. Sid's gonna sort something out, but it could be one of them things where we could be all like giddy, or we could be very, very down. And I don't think we should be down because we're not favourites for that. But I'd like to see us.
Let's have a prediction, Sam. Let's have a prediction, mate.
Oh, bloody hell!
It's a hard one, mate. It's a
Am I
hard
going
one.
to put my Spurs? I'm going to say
You're
we're
gonna put your
I'm putting
going
my
with your
hat on and
heart.
say, yeah, I'm going with it. I'm saying we can do this a 1-0. We do like we did against Man United. That's my personal view. Point. What you think, Pipes? Score wise,
Yeah.
you think we can win?
I'm going to go completely off piste, completely random. I'm going to say
3-0.
2-2, and we do them on penalties.
Josh.
I'm going win. I'm going win.
Forecast.
I'm going win, and I just think there's something in the air. Like I've said to you, the tables have turned, man. So I'm going for a win as well. So here we go.
Nice. All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Those watching, thank you very much. Like, subscribe, and comment. Post this stream if you're watching it on catch up. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, that's done. Thanks, and we'll be out.